This episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Phantom Boxing, a brand new company starting in late 2019. They sent us a great discount code for awesome subscribers. Go to phantomboxing.co.uk if you want to try enter their 6 styles of boxing gloves, headgear, groin guards, hand wraps, or their Cobra reflex bag. And when you go to checkout and enter the code CombatCorp10 to save 10% off any and all purchases. That's CombatCorp10 for any and all purchases. Thanks again to Phantom Boxing and enjoy the show.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source for combat sports. I'm your host, Al the Postmaster Morrow, and today I have a gear review on the Decha Muay Thai DBGVL1 training gloves. Alright everybody, as always I'm incredibly excited to bring you yet another gear review, as today we have the Decha DBGVL1 Muay Thai training gloves. This is their 16-ounce burgundy, black, and white colorway model of glove. And I'm really excited to do this because, funny story, in the middle of May I was looking around into getting a pair of Dechas because a lot of my friends down in Vermont that have a Muay Thai club down there said Decha Martial Arts or Decha Fight Gear had really good stuff. And I've been looking to get more into the Muay Thai field. You know, I have a few Fair Texas, I have a few Top Kings, I have one Yokow, I have two things from Windy, but I've never really been massive into Muay Thai gloves. And Decha was the first one I was looking at because I had heard nothing but good things. And most of the times I go for the things that have good reviews, even if they're not like globally known as of yet. I have to go for them because of the good reviews. Lo and behold, they messaged me on Instagram and say, would you like to review a pair of gloves? Which was insane. I thought it was awesome timing. So May 30th, if you check the Instagram, you'll actually see that I got these in the mail, and I've had them ever since. It's almost August 30th, so I've had them for almost 3 months. I want to make sure I get that right. May, June, July, August. Yeah, so almost 3 months. Sorry, I'm a little slow when it comes to math. But as far as these go, I'm really happy that Decha sent these to me. I'm really excited to do the review on them finally. It's been a long time since I've made consistent reviews, which I hope to finally do, but there's just been so much stuff going outside of the channel. And if you follow the Instagram, Facebook page, or anything, you'll see as to why. I won't get into that now. But Decha's been very patient with me, which thank you so much, Decha. I appreciate it, and thank you so much for the gloves. So the gloves came in a plastic container too, as most things do. They're like, you know, the basic plastic bag that these come in. But the product that you get is actually pretty awesome. That's the one thing I will say is when you see gloves like these come in, especially from Thailand, I always get excited because either they come from a big factory that's the same, or they come from a small shop. In this case, Decha started, I want to say, at least 3 years ago now, and they have a small family-owned shop. I could be wrong on the family part, but I'm pretty sure it is a small family-owned shop in Thailand, and this is no exception. It came right from the motherland itself, and this is designed to be for Thai boxing, boxing, or any type of kickboxing, like K1 Glory style kickboxing, Dutch kickboxing, you know, or whatever type of kickboxing it may be. And this is good for sparring, bag work, all those other things. So it's an all-around good training glove. But going into the pronunciation, I wanted to get to that too. I'm saying Decha. Most people see D-E-C-H-A and they think Decha or Decha or how we would pronounce it in English. But I actually got them to send me a message. How do I pronounce this? And they sent me this.
Decha.
I'm going to play that one more time.
Decha.
Decha, okay? And that was one thing I wanted to ask them. I said, how do you pronounce it? They said Decha. They sent me that right off the bat. Now, with that said, once again, as I always say, just because they sent these to me does not mean I'm going to give it a sugar-coated review or that they paid me anything. They just wanted to ask my opinion on the gloves, which I've sent them my opinions on these already, but I'm finally happy to get this out there. So let's go into the look of the glove. Like I said, I have the burgundy, black, and white colorway as far as these goes, and they come into 12, 14, and 16 ounces like most other companies do. I don't know if they make anything bigger, but I don't see why they couldn't if you know, maybe they get enough requests on these in here. But for a Thai glove, actually the hand compartment size is pretty decent, but I'll get to that with the design. But going to the look, we have a very classic look to it, and it says we'll start with a big white lettering here. I like classic looking gloves as well. But we got the big white lettering here, Decha, and it says made in Thailand, of course. It comes right from the motherland. And underneath that means Decha in Thai, which translates to power. So I asked him, and it means power, which also means strength and all those other things in Thailand. So that's a really cool name for a company, Power. And it gives you the power. I interpret it in a bunch of ways. It gives me the power to wear the glove, or I have power in my hands, or whatever it might be that you want to interpret it as, because I think each glove speaks to you in a different way. Kind of like how a Zanpakuto speaks to people in Bleach, but that's a nerdy anime thing. I won't go into it. Anyway, but when we go into it, we have, once again, Thai word for Decha here, power, okay? And the whole back of the glove, we have this nice burgundy color, which is like a mixture of brown and red, like a maroonish burgundy color, and I love that color. The reason why is because a lot of people think the old school classic gloves were brown, which is true, but when they oxidized or got to the air, that cowhide actually turned red, because that's how it reacted. It's like whenever we get lights onto our skin, it turns red as well, sunburn, and that's what we get from these as well, because it's leather, okay? But we have a black thumb here. We turn it around. Once again, we have all that burgundy right here on the fingertips and the punch surface again. Once we open up the palm, it's all black with white stitching, double line stitching, and then a burgundy inside thumb here. Now, when we open the bottom of this, not only is the wrist bar here, both sides, black, once again with white stitching. The whole inside is black Velcro, black leather here, and then of course we turn it around and it has a burgundy wrist strap. But the burgundy wrist strap has a couple things on it. It says handmade in Thailand, genuine leather with 5 stars, and I believe it has that Decha. Yeah, it says Decha right there. Let me get the glare of the light out of there, sorry, so you can see that. So it's a nice stamp there. It says 16 ounce here, nice 16 ounce tag, and then it says made in, and let me get the other side open here. Sorry, leather. Sorry, my fingers are too fat. Leather. So it's not made out of a synthetic anything. It's made out of actual leather, which I'll get into in a second here. And then once again, it says made in Thailand, Decha, and it has www.decha.com. But I should say that if you go to that website, it says the website's under maintenance. So I'll post a few links that I found these at underneath in the link in the description below. There's a few websites you can get them from, and they're all about the same price, and including shipping and everything. But going into the design of the glove, starting with the outside layer, which surprised me, especially for a glove of its price, which I said I'd get into later, but it's about 60 to 70 bucks. And the leather honestly surprised me, because you don't see a lot of thick cowhide on gloves that cheap, if you will. If I pull this leather, it's kind of hard to because of how good it is. It's about the same thickness that you get from a Cleto Reyes glove, which is awesome. So it's a very thick, very strong top grain cowhide leather, which I'll put the little description of what top grain is. It's basically they shave all the imperfections off the hide when it's considered full grain. And even tells you that genuine leather stamp, meaning that is 100% genuinely made out of leather. Not that it is the material genuine leather, which I won't go into because I'll just be long-winded for 8 more years. But when we go into the actual hide, all the glove except for the inside is made out of that leather material, so it's awesome. And of course the stitching and the Velcro, but that's besides the point. When we got all this, and we even the thumb attachment, which is black, I didn't go into that, my bad. It's all that nice thick cowhide, and it protects the inside of the glove and protects your hands very well. It has that really nice leather sound to it, and it still smells like a good leather shoe, which is also a telltale sign. Is it actually made out of leather? Because if it smells like chemicals, not so much. If it sounds like it just came out, smells like it just came off a tanning rack, and it smells like you just pulled it out of a shoe box, then yeah, it probably is. The padding on the inside is a 4-layer padding. And I don't really know exactly which padding's in there because it doesn't say it on the website, but if I had to assume, I should have asked them. There's got to be some type of latex in this or a very high dense memory foam type deal, because you get a really good recoil off these. To me, these are definitely somewhat of a puncher's glove. They feel like how can I word it? They feel like to me like the Thai version of a Cleto Reyes. I used to think Fairtex was like that because a lot of them are like puncher's gloves, but just the way that this is made, how thick the leather is, and how good the padding is, I get a nice recoil off it. And it doesn't quite feel like a pillow glove. I guess I would mix it in between a hybrid of a puncher's and a pillow glove because of how soft the padding gets after a while. When you first get it out of the box, it's actually pretty soft, but it's not so soft that you would think that someone was beating it with a sledgehammer before. It was slightly stiff in some areas, but now the whole glove has definitely softened out, even in the fingertips here, especially from Thai sparring. The thumb is made out of the same padding as well, that 4-layered padding, and even the wrist is made out of that same 4-layer padding. But the wrist will stay as stiff as it normally will, just because you're not pounding anything like you are the knuckle area or the finger area or even the thumb area. You're actually just, maybe catching kicks with these, but the wrist bars are actually pretty solid as well. They're not too hard at all. They're pretty soft. Same thing for the inside of the hand compartment. The stitching, once again, is a double line stitching, which just means it's double reinforced, which is awesome, and it has a really pretty pattern to it, going all throughout the right spots. And I love seeing visible stitching, so you can really appreciate the craftsmanship. And like most Japanese style gloves, which kind of once again gives me the impression they were kind of looking for that pillow style glove, but it still gives that puncher's feel off to me, as you can tell because of the separate thumb here. So basically the way it works is they have the big hand compartment here, and then they attach the thumb and stitch it afterwards. That way it has freedom of mobility, which a lot of Thai gloves do that as well, just because in Thai most gloves are kind of out like this instead of inward like a Western boxing glove. That way you can open and grab. Which, speaking of going into opening and grab, let's talk about the inner hand compartment here. And when I open this, you can see it is that standard polyester satin, nylon type feel, and it's very soft and it feels like a dry fit material, kind of like my hoodie feels, which is a good feeling to it. It kind of feels like a very, very high-end tarp is the way I would word it, and that's a good way of wording it. But it is a little baggy towards the top, so every now and again I really have to kind of wrestle my fingers around as far as the interior lining. So maybe the interior lining could have been stretched a little bit better. I don't really know how difficult that is to do. I assume very. I don't know how to make a boxing glove, so I just critique them, I guess. But the hand compartment actually has pretty good size as far as these go. It is slightly tight like most Thai gloves are when I wrap my hands up big, but I have been able to have like that fight wrap type thing on the inside of these and not worry about it with extensive gauze towards the top. So if you have big hands, I do think they'd fit you, but that's why I would ask maybe make an 18 ounce for someone that's bigger than me. I'm about 230 pounds at the moment. So if you have a guy who's like 260, 270, 280 and they need that 18 ounce glove, or if their hands are bigger than mine, my palms are just very wide, my fingers are kind of stubby, but my palms are very wide, so I need that space, especially because my palms are wide means my knuckle area is wide as well. The thumb moves freely, and the wrist support is actually really good. It has a really good guarded wrist. I wish they had that Velcro strap going across the center here, that way it would pull it together a little bit tighter, but it's pretty much on my wrist just because of how tight the interior part of the glove is, and I'm really trying to rip it off here and it's not coming off, so that's pretty good. And once again, you can hear that leather here. The thumb is very free moving after a little while. You do have to break that in a bit, but it is very open, especially if you're strictly Thai. I did pull it out a little bit, so let me readjust. If you are strictly Thai, it opens and it has a very good grip, but you do need to break it out a little bit, and it is a pretty good workout, but it has an extremely good grip around the neck, on the wrist, on the back of the biceps, on the shoulders, and all those other things. Wherever you're going to grab in Thai boxing, it has a lot of really good grips there. And the not wrist bar, but the grip bar is actually pretty firm when it comes to grabbing stuff, but it feels good to squeeze down on. I have never smashed my thumb on these because my thumb does not always touch the very top of this, which is good, and the thumb is extremely padded. I don't even feel that, but I do feel a good recoil off my hand with these. It is a very soft recoil, but I do feel a decent recoil off these. So it has awesome knuckle protection. Some people have complained that they're a little bit hot on the inside, but you're gonna be sweating anyway, so that's not really a valid complaint with me. But to counteract that, they do have some holes here in the center. But as far as everything goes on the inside, the glove is very well made. The outside, the glove is very well made, and it's a really cool classic design. So let's go into the view of the glove, you know, like a preview, and then of course the bag work so you can see exactly how it operates in action.
Alright, so I got some tie rounds going on the banana bag here, throwing some kicks and stuff since they are a tie glove. And right off the bat, the first thing I can say about these gloves is they get a really nice recoil. They have a nice grip for knees and clinch work as far as all that goes. I love punching the bag with these, any type of bag, especially just because of the nice recoil they get. It has such good knuckle and wrist support. I can actually feel it cradle my hands as I'm hitting everything. It has really, really great grips, like I said, and they actually swing really equally. As far as kicks go, I really feel like my hips can swing really well with these. Not only is the clinch good, you know, they're good for sweeps and stuff, as I just tried there. You know, I do that with tie sparring. They're just really comfortable glove to hit the bag with, hit the mitts with, and to spar with, of course. I really like how equally balanced they are, and in general, I really enjoy hitting the bag with these Decha gloves, and I think you will too. Alright, so here's the model sparring view. You can see the burgundy pop right out at you, and of course the Decha logo. If you're getting punched by these, those Decha logos are going to come right out at you. That big white lettering. The shadow boxing in the mirror with these always looks awesome. Absolutely love using these gloves when I shadow box and when I spar, and my sparring partners say that they just look retro, they look awesome. They're a really cool glove to look at. I think you're going to enjoy marbling with them.
Final verdict for the Decha DBGVL1 training gloves. I actually really love these gloves. They have become my #1 favorite tie glove out there. The windy traditional Muay Thai training gloves were mine, and the Yokaos were mine for a long time. But just because of the way that these are constructed and the ways these were built, it feels like a tie glove met a Western style boxing glove, you know. And there's a couple companies that try and pull that off, like Fairtex has their BGV9 model, which is like that Mexican style boxing glove, but it's still so tight in the hands, and it's just not as well made as a bunch of other things. And you know, Top King kind of has a couple different shapes. You know, Mike Tyson used those, which I don't know how, because I can't fit my hands in any of the Top Kings. But these hit the nail right on the head for me. I think if the hand compartment size was just a tad bit bigger, I'd give it an even better rating than what I'm about to give it. I give them a solid, I'd say 7.5 to 8 out of 10 for any average user. Me personally, I still give them about an 8 out of 10 because I use these for everything. The one thing that I love about these more than anything is the durability, right? Because you see most gloves that are out there, say, like my favorite thing to recommend to people is a Ringside Apex Flash Sparring Glove. I love those gloves more than any gloves on the planet. But I would recommend these to people because they're like $65, $70, depending on where you get them from. It's made out of awesome material with the Cowhide top grain leather, and then on top of it, nothing's changed about the glove, and I've used these so much. And I know I take good care of my gloves, but even if I didn't, I think they might have lasted like this too. I've had these for almost 3 months. I've used them at least 3 times a week with really hard sessions. I've sparred with these, I've hit the bag with these, I've hit the mitts with these, I've done push-ups with these, I've jokingly hit walls with these. Nothing's changed. The leathers hasn't changed, it hasn't creased, it hasn't wrinkled, it hasn't done anything bad yet. Which normally gloves, even if they are good, show some types of signs of wearing. And the other crazy part about it is they didn't take that long to break in. It took maybe a good week of me to just hit the bag a little bit to really be comfortable enough to say I can spar with these now. They were, you know, a little stiff coming out of the box, but you're going to expect that with most other gloves on the market. The leather has like just not changed at all since I got it out, which is crazy. There's a few creasings here and there, but as far as a type of person it would fit, I wouldn't necessarily, which is crazy because it comes from Thailand, I would almost recommend this more to like a K1 style kickboxer. The only reason why is because it has that Western style boxing glove feel with the knuckle padding, having like that pillow style, Japanese style design with the separated thumb. And it is pretty soft, but I get a really nice solid recoil. So I'm putting it in that hybrid category of pillow meets puncher or puncher meets pillow, whichever one comes first. I'd say puncher. And as far as the 4-layer padding goes, nothing's bubbled. There's no padding that's falling apart yet. The other complaint I guess I would have is, does the inside get hot fast? Once again, I'm not really going to complain about that because you're going to sweat when it comes to this stuff. And people in Thailand, coming from a very hot and humid place, I'm sure they're not complaining about it, right? And I'm not going to complain about it either. The other thing I'm going to say is just the interior lining sometimes does get a little baggy and it gets a little uncomfortable, especially when you're sparring or hitting the bag. You got to move your fingers to get your fingers back to grip the grip bar. And that's a little annoying, but it's nothing that you can't fix. The other thing is when you have this on, I do not like sometimes that the wrist will like bow out a little bit. Like these little wrist parts here will kind of come out or they'll push in and maybe just make this part a little bit tighter, I guess, but that doesn't really change anything. Wrist support is awesome, especially for a tie glove. You still got enough mobility to pull the neck down or to pull someone towards you, and it's very easy to open the glove. The only thing I will say is I've had these for a while, I've used these extensively, but I wish it was slightly easier because I do notice that after a while, I have to actually try to open the glove. Most tie gloves, you know, are very loose here, and all I have to do is just literally open my palm like this, but I really have to flex my fingers to get that open. That's why I give it like the 7.5, just because if they're coming from a strict tie background, they might want it to be a little bit more easier to like grab someone, unless I need to break that in a lot more. But honestly, for boxers, I'd recommend these gloves to you. I think they're very protective. I think they're awesome for sparring. I think you're going to enjoy hitting the bag with these. I know I do. I use these for bags and mitts all the time now. And I also would tell people maybe a Dutch kickboxer or a K1 style kickboxer would really like these. You know, if you chain punches and kicks more than you do clinch work, elbows and knees and sweeps and all that stuff, I definitely say if you're a K1 guy, these might be the gloves for you. So for people like that, you know, K1 styles, I'd honestly say if you want to get into like a professional grade boxing glove, intermediate to professional grade, I'd give these a 10 out of 10. But if you're a strict tie person, I might say a 7.5 to 8. But for me personally, they rank about an 8 for me because I like them a lot better than a lot of other tie gloves out there, even some of the gold standards, which I won't name in this video. But these are my #1 favorite tie glove out there. For sure in the tie world. Just those few improvements that kind of knack it, but I think the price is right on. In fact, I'd be surprised if they couldn't charge a little bit more just because of the material that they use, but maybe it's cheaper in Thailand to do so, which is why it's only about 60 to 70 bucks. Plus you got the shipping involved. So that might be another 10, 20. So you might wind up paying $100 at the end of the day, but I'm pretty sure it's still only $60 if you go to a few websites, which once again, I'll post a link in the description below. But nothing's changed. It's a very durable glove. I think this glove would for sure last you at least 3 to 4 years, even if you're beating the hell out of it every single day. Just make sure you take good care of it. Take care of the leather on the outside. Make sure you disinfect the inside, especially with COVID season. And then take care of everything about the glove, and I think it's going to take care of you. So I definitely would give it a really good rating. The Decha training gloves is awesome. They're a really awesome company. Double thumbs up for these gloves for sure. I will be using these for a long time. All right, folks, with that said, I'm Al Morrow with the Combat Corporation. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next episode.